Well, while we wait, today's episode is called The Lost Art of Living. Could hear you both fine. Okay, thank you, first sons. The first sons. The Lost Art of Living. We have in previous episodes talked about the lost art of eating, what we are meant to eat, what we're supposed to eat. We have touched upon the lost art of fasting and what kind of benefits that can bring. Today we were going to talk about the lost art of living and the myriad of ways we get toxins into our systems. It's not just food and drink. We use products for washing our hair, for washing our body, for moisturing our skin, there's no lack of ways we get poisons into our system. So Josh is going to tell us today about how we can best avoid it, and hopefully how we can substitute it. So let's wait for the oracle. Just see what's... Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Hello, dear brother.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Oh, we are live and we are going.
Well, I apologize for my re-entry and late entrance. I hope everyone is well, and I think that should be everything set. There we go.
Hey,
Welcome.
let me just see what's happened to my microphone. There. Okay, we are ready. I just told the audience about our the episode of today, and that
Yes.
it's regarding the many ways we get toxins into our system, which again is the reasons why we had to fast, and or some of the reason why we have to fast, and so we will touch upon the different ways and how to avoid them, also what we should avoid and what we can substitute these
Yeah.
products with, because I think nobody is ready to give up their washing machine or their dishwasher.
That's the
Uh,
thing. We don't need to. You can have mindsets that go into this spirituality, but with nature and get trapped in that function. But we do have an expansive awareness for this very purpose. We accept these things as benefits to what we can do to utilize and create more free time. It's absolutely fine. Let go, surrender, accept, and make the best of this wonderful life you've been given. I think the world itself is not the earth; is a very separate entity. That's what we need to realize or come into realization with. And there's an opportunity to choose left or right. And within this subject today, the left would be the world, the material plane, the commerce, the busyness, the 9 to 5 cycling of convenience. And the right side would be the earth, utilizing elements that are in harmony with your body, and they work and create homeostasis, balance, and keep you free from disease, discomfort, and inability with this wonderful machine that we have.
Yeah, and I can, what do you say, confess that I have a way to go on this in this department itself. Uh, of course, the toothpaste is gone a long time ago, or the
Yeah.
fluoride, the fluor toothpaste. But we are, using detergents, dishwasher things, and the fabric softeners, and yeah. So those are for me personally, those are things I could be better on.
Yeah. I think there's just a lack of awareness to certain things that we use because we're so desensitized to the products in our home and our surroundings that we think nothing of it. Well, that's absolutely fine. And you do the best to your ability in each moment to that which is your awareness.
Can I just we have up? Can we up? Well, okay, let me just say something. I got some critique from my wife, my my biggest critic. So because I have several screens, so if I look like I'm not interested, I'm just looking at the chat, or I'm looking at different windows. So it's not that
Yeah,
I'm not, I'm here, and
the same.
but
I say the same. You're much here in my vision, and this is the. So please be aware of that. I'm not looking away either, and I
all right.
hope you don't mind.
So can we up volume a little? I'm not sure. Is it both of us, or is it just one? Or
Let me see if I can make mine better for you.
it was a question. So how is our audio
There we
and video, but for that matter? But first and foremost, audio. It's good to have that
go.
in
Yeah,
order.
thumbs up. I think a good beginning to this discussion is going to be focused on the red and blue, the left and right, and how to choose the righteous path in each moment that we get. Acid and alkalinity.
Hmm.
What are they, and what it does to our system? Because everything today is going to be causing some sort of acidity or some sort of alkalinity within our body, creating homeostasis or the depletion of our storage system, which is usually within our bones. So anything that is of goodness to us is always going to create a homeostasis, reciprocation, and balance. And the anything that's negative to us will always cause a pulling of the minerals, a depletion of our body, and then essentially the breakdown of our tissue over time. And this is why we see many of the elderly these days struggling to walk. The avatar is very capable of living beyond anything one can perceive right now. Full in movement, walking, dancing, singing, climbing trees. So this is the way that one should try to apply within their life to experience such joy and physical freedom forevermore. So acidity, the acid and the alkaline. If we have acid forming substances or foods within our system, what we're doing is having to buffer this acidity with our own bodily functions. So we deplete our necessary minerals that are within our bones, and this acts as an alkaline buffer, which will cause this acidity to be neutralized and balanced. But the body can only do this for so long. So what we have to do is try to provide our body with the correct tools, the correct environment, so it can stay so far away from pulling minerals that are actually needed within our system, to actually replacing them in a reciprocative manner. So we have this beautiful skin tone, flesh, and joy. So the alkaline foods, what they do, continually the body produces this, let's say, acidity due to its nature. And the reason why we don't say that we need neutral foods is because the body creates neutrality through the through the alkaline type of lifestyle. So everything that we are going to share now is going to give us the correct pathway to this. So when we're consuming foods, there's many different types of foods that are definitely a no-no for our system, very inorganic. They are manufactured and processed, and these cause severe acidity within our body. Have you heard of the substance? I'm very much sure you have, the MSG, the monosodium glutamate.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is found in takeaway food or Chinese food. It's a very salty substance found in crisps, many children's sweets, and even sometimes baby formula. And what the MSG does is it's an excitotoxin and a neurostimulant. So it stimulates and excites the mind, creating an addiction, but also a firing and signaling, which happens at such an extreme rate, it actually kills and starts to remove the firing of our neurological system. So it breaks down the ability to process information fast, thus leading to a destruction of your neurological system. Was there a question, dear buddy?
No, I was just going to say this glutamine, isn't it also in most of spices and
Yeah,
different
yeah, cubes. Like you'll find it in, I don't know what they would call them. They have like cubes. I'm trying not to say the brand, but they have cubes like OXO cubes and no cubes that are basically full of MSG instead of salt. So the industry itself always tries to promote something other than the awareness of which people have found that they should not be consuming. Now, salt itself is not necessarily bad for the body, but there's different types of salt that we can consume. The Himalayan salt would be the best salt. It's very pure, very clean, very untouched by modern day machinery and man. So it has the purest form of salt within it, an ancient bed of pink rock that is salt or saline by its nature. But we have something called table salt. Now, the table salt awareness, most people who are aware of the foods that they've been consuming, they've chosen to move away from table salt. Table salt itself is primarily 1/3 glass, plastic, sand, and salt.
Yummy.
And when people consume this, do you like?
No.
When people consume this, it goes inside our body and goes into the bloodstream and starts to aggravate and scratch the lining. And then what tends to happen over time is the cholesterol, which actually is rebuilding new cells, is stopping the arteries bleeding internally by healing it. And then we go to the doctors, and the doctors might say you have high blood pressure, and what's actually happening, or high cholesterol even as well. And you go to these doctors and they give you medications and saying that these pathways need to be blocked, but they're not being unblocked. And the reason why these are there is because it's saving your life. So the most important thing we need to do is have the awareness of the food that we're putting into our body, because all of these ailments actually come from things we consume. So the best thing would be to cut that salt completely and absolutely move to this Himalayan salt, which is one of the only things that you need to add to your food for the salty taste. You don't need MSG. But again, it's the media matrix mind that they try to say, we tell them not to have this salt and we feed them low salt, which has got waste products in that we can get rid of through the commercial industry. And then also then try to bring it back in. So the salt and the MSGs, there are absolute thing to really truly understand as you progress on your awareness through food. And all of these things that we're going to share tonight, it's a one-by-one step. You don't need to do these all at once, no matter what your awareness is. Slow and steady will always win the race. It will take you to a space of improvement. And as you improve, you alleviate yourself from stress, thought demons, and progress is also very beneficial to the being. So have you got anything to share on MSGs? Do you enjoy MSGs?
Enjoy my MSGs?
Yeah.
No, I just was aware that it was in most seasonings. A variety of different seasonings, and they always have this glutamat. In Norway, this says glutamat, but and I heard that that's doing no favors.
No, it's a very, very unstable product that you can feel if one has a subtle. It's not even so subtle. If you still consume takeaway foods and you go to the Chinese and you ask them for a chow mein, and you have one day you have it with MSG standard, they don't offer you the choice, but you can ask them not to put it in and say you're allergic. And the taste would be very different, extremely different, very, very more palatable with the no MSG, less thirst, and more natural flavor. And you'll feel that there's no headaches like there was previously with the last one you had.
So there's actually, is it this especially Chinese restaurants, or is it restaurants in general
I
that
would say,
adds MSG as this is MSG? I'm gonna
yeah,
put this on the food.
yeah, it's absolute. I would say Chinese is probably the worst place
Oh,
to find it. You'll find it just added in as a part of the recipe. And they'll have it on the side in a white bag that's just like a chemical and just scooped in. So yeah, please, if you're at that stage, then it's really important that you try to just start to remove these things slowly. And as you do, you'll start to become more aware, more free, more higher vibrational, and this will continue to increase with your food awareness. Now, sugar is another thing. How easy or how difficult is it for one to remove sugar without the awareness of what sugar does? Sugar itself is it's an immune system suppressant. It is, say, 4 grams of sugar itself will stop the immune system working for around about 4 hours. So every time one's consuming sugar through their processed foods is actually cycling these 4-hour steps that their body's unable to deal with anything that's within inside the system. So everything gets stored. Yeast and sugar are one of Babylon's very deep secrets, very deep, deep-rooted program that we've had since a very long time. See, yeast is candida, and candida is mainly why every disease is manifested inside this body, or the body. So they put it into the bread, which was a foundation for most families as they grew up, and then the sugar, which feeds it and exacerbates it. So yeast itself is absolutely no. If someone's looking to progress on their journey, yeast is a form of fungus that's put into the food that feeds and breeds and eats off the body and all dead matter. So when you consume the dead matter, the yeast or fungus or candida grows within inside the body, and then it continues to feast or feed on the body itself, which breaks down the cell walls and then opens up to dysfunction, improper workings of the human body. So sugar itself is a complete synthetic form of food. It's bleached. It goes through the factories and processing. And the processing factories use the chemicals to clean each day. So not to mention that you have in this sugar cane that's been processed many times. If one has never seen how sugar is made, I suggest you watch how sugar is made and then make your own decision on how you're going to move forward with your eating habits. Because you truly are what you eat. And that's one of the most important things that we find as we experience different forms of food.
I expect most people listening now are at least aware to a certain point, but for me it was an eye-opener when I went to the shop and actually looked at the packaging. And saw that I don't know how it is in your country, but in Norway you have to label the things in like whatever is the whatever is the most of is first, and then successively downwards. So sugar is number 2 and 3 in almost any processed food.
Yeah, it's a really unfortunate thing that we see as we start to look inside these ingredients. I've been recently interacting with someone who's been feeding their their baby formula from birth
Mm.
and is having really bad digestive issues. It cannot keep food down anymore and is consistently up crying every night and all day with pain in the stomach. And the doctors, I mean, he's been to 4 specialists, and these 4 specialist doctors have no idea what's wrong. The best in the city was actually called, and again, still no real understanding, no result, just the offering of pharmaceuticals to alleviate the symptoms of this child. Now, for me, logically and fundamentally, within inside this physical nature of things, we just have to look back at the basics. Now, if the digestive tract is inflamed and is having a problem, it can't store in any type of food and the baby's rejecting it, then the baby's only consuming one thing. Now, it's a very simple process. It's just removing that one thing and watching the body clean itself up. If we look in the ingredients of baby food, you will find MSG, whey protein, soy protein, casein, palm oil, synthetic minerals, aluminium, and this is basically what's destroying the intestines of
Sugar, right?
these poor babies. And yeah, sugar, cocaine.
Cocaine, yeah.
It's a very, very, bad choice. And if mothers are not aware of this, all you should do is research each and every individual ingredients of the tests done within the science before it was brought to market. Just like the MSG, you'll find that the lab rats that were fed MSG, I think within 3 to 4 weeks, they developed cancer and all died within the 8-week trial. And then it was still marketed. Back when I was a young boy, I would spend a lot of time researching these things, creating the fundamental knowing that's here now. But you could spend a whole year or 2 even spending your time looking at these files, looking at the history, and really going deep into great teachings and testimonials that people have within these types of food. So this here is just more food awareness and pointing that we should take a look at if we're not very aware of the things we're consuming. Protein. We were speaking of baby powder. Now, protein powders are another thing. Protein powders themselves have, primarily the whey protein, which is the whey isolate, which has been skimmed off of milk and usually thrown away. If we research from the 50s, you'll see that this was a toxic for human consumption and thrown away. And it's found its way within the business world, the commercial world, and now is a supplement. This is one of the things that we should be aware if we're into our training, and it's finding out how the body works. As you very well know, the body runs off the carbohydrate, or you could say the glucose. So if we want to fuel our muscles, we must feed them with the glucose that it needs. There's very little glucose and very little life force within inside the powder. That's inside the scoop of about 50 grams, would you say? This doesn't feed a wonderful working machine that you're looking to build and balance every day. I'm sure you've had your fair share of protein. I'm sure you've had your fair share of protein powder.
Had my share? Yes.
Yeah.
I was lucky to be sponsored, so I didn't have to pay for it, but that doesn't make it any better.
Wow.
But no, it's very clear now that the right way is a totally different way than going for the dead powders.
How were your symptoms? Did you find yourself bloating and have excessive gas and discomfort?
I was like a balloon. no, no good. I can tell you.
Yeah.
But of course, the diet itself also was way off where we supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was, you know, always on the travel, so it's cold rice and tuna and some cold food.
Hmm.
No vegetables or fruits, almost nothing.
Incredible, isn't
So how, yeah, it's incredible. But I struggled, always have struggled with water retention and those things. So
it?
this is a
It's
limit.
not surprising, you know, water retention is primarily there because of the inflammation. So if one's consuming a diet like that and having these things, it's naturally, you know, going to be
Mm.
there. And I think as you get close to your bodybuilding shows, or when you did, and when bodybuilders do, you know, there's an absolute switching of their diet, and within the chemistry, you would carb load, carb deplete, you know, add salt, remove salt, and try to get rid of the retention within the system.
And I never
Consuming
did.
fruit doesn't do this.
Yeah, it would be so, and hopefully we can, Josh, maybe a tag team, do this the right way some
Yeah,
time in the future and prove to everyone that it can be done on the glucose and the essential amino acids alone and the fruits.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I mean that's one of the most important things that through training, especially when I was a younger, say athlete, because I was an athlete, and correct foods just create such a correct function within the system, such strength. I mean, if we compare ourselves to any animal, let's say the gorilla and the monkey species, the strength that they have is incredible compared to most human beings. But how many human beings do you know that eat the correct amount of fruit, the right volume, do the right exercise to increase their strength, and have gone through this experience where you volumize your muscles to such an extent, you know, they look like somebody that would be, you know, primarily on the meat, on the steroids, on the protein powders, and these types of things. But this isn't necessary.
And this is also brand new to me. Also, that there, even that there's another way to train instead of the tear and repair way to build muscle. That it's something called volumization
Mm,
training. It's new to me, but uh, I don't doubt it for a second, and I'm eager to try.
yeah. See, we're always fed these things in the media. When you come to the realization of what's the truth through your own experience, you'll find out that everything, as it continues to reveal itself to you, is the reverse of the truth. You know, if things were direct and easy, this wouldn't be duality. So that this is why it's here.
Mm.
You know, this is the one who has to find things himself. And yeah, going through this process, you know, observing the body for many years, I started to train, I would say 6 to 7 days strong, which is a week, for from the age of about 12 up until the age of 28. Took it very seriously. Every meal was serious. Every rep was also very serious. So my lifestyle was focused on the understanding of the body. You could say the matrix, and um, very much a physical aspect as I started to grow and see things within this world. But volumization, which is a higher repetition on the highest weight you can do for rep ranges between 20 and 50 in a correct form, not locking, keeping constant tension on the body, you will find that the body responds and grows like nothing else. Keeping this in a very consistent pattern, you will find that you'll break boundaries, limitations that you previously had, but you won't be lifting, you know, the heavy weights because it's not recommended. They affect the joints, the ligaments, and if one's looking to do things properly, it's best to do things that's great or right for the mechanics of our muscular system. When you lock, when you're doing any sort of exercise, you're putting pressure on all the joints and the tendons. But if you keep the the body from locking, you'll find that there is a constant tension within the pull of the muscles. And this is what pulls the nutrients and the blood flow in. It allows extra repetition, but it also allows extra nutrients, blood flow, and pump. And obviously, you know the pump. It's a wonderful feeling when you have certain size muscles to be able to feel it, and the blood stays there. And this is what we're looking for, the tear and repair method that usually happens through the heavy training is scar tissue that we build up over time. So it takes a long period of time to get to the size that one may wish they are. So once you've exercised and you feed it, so the storage of glycogen within the muscles keeps it volumized, the sugar, the glucose system. And if you continually keep your system elevated with glucose, every 2.5 hours, you'll stay anabolic, which means your body will not be using muscle as fuel. It will be taking the services from the rest of the system, thus leaving the muscles full and energized. And also, while we are looking to remove body fat during the training process, you would not run, because running doesn't burn fat. Running itself, once you get your heart rate over about 130 beats per minute, you go into a different system, and that system uses glucose as fuel, and the glucose / glycogen is stored within inside the muscle tissue, so it's taken from there. And this is not the purpose or the goal of somebody that's wishing to increase muscle. So you would be doing walking or keeping your heart rate below 125 beats per minute, and this would basically remove the fat from the body, but also keep you in a state where your body is able to sustain physical exercise for a longer period of time. But you don't need protein. Protein, I don't know if we've actually touched protein on our previous videos. I think we may have. But protein, you do not need to eat. Protein is made via protein synthesis through the glucose and amino acids that you consume. So your body makes protein. You don't need protein, and the breakdown of proteins themselves are acid forming within inside our system. So the least protein in the food, but the higher glucose content is going to be the most beneficial foods for you. And these living foods have the form of life and amino acid coding that does build this for you. Very simple. You need to consume more if you're not growing.
If anyone has some questions as we go, please ask them in the chat, and maybe you'll get an answer. I don't know if you feel like we should, because I'm very curious on how I can change on the products, also of washing detergents and these things. Like, for example, we want to wash clothes. We have a washing machine we don't wish to throw away just yet. So if we don't use the soaps and the fabric softeners and those things in a washing machine, what do we do? What do you use?
It's good question. So the detergents that we use, and for example, the washing up liquid that we also use, you'll find if you look on the back of it, it says that it causes harmful effects to life with irreversible effects. And this is going through your wash and staying on the clothes, and you're wearing this every day. It's also going on your plates, which you may use the liquid soap to wash them. And then as you clear them off, you actually don't get rid of the residue, and it remains on your food. So I remember when I first became aware of this, and I transitioned from using that to what I would use is vinegar and bicarb solution. And I would then use that to clean everything.
Vinegar, normal vinegar, or apple cider vinegar, or
I mean, distilled vinegar has no smell, no taste. If you can, taste has no smell or aftertaste on the plates. So that's a good thing to use. Or you can find yourself just, using some vinegar at your local shop. You don't need to really focus on it too much, because that will all come off the plate.
Do you then manually wash, or do you put this in the washing machine itself?
Yeah, I don't use a dishwasher. Because of the nature of the food that we consume, it's living food. There's no death, there's no bacteria, there's no animals. The food's gone in my mouth. So really plates just generally need a swirl and a dry once you've finished with the plate.
Yeah.
But it's when you leave the plates overnight that they start to dry off and things need to be cleaned a little bit harder. So you don't need all these antibacterial things to wipe your plate, because the very food that you've consumed has now been cleaned off with water, which is fine. But yeah, bicarb and vinegar solution is great. You just have it on the side in a bowl. You use your normal dishcloth, the cleanest if you can. Cotton is the best, and dip it in. Continue to clean your plates with that. Because there is a very big difference when you do remove it. The one time that I remember tasting it, which is from a family member who is plant-based, and they are very aware. We made dinner together. I was showing them how to make certain foods in the style that we do with just fruits. And there was a funny taste, and it was absolutely the liquid soap. And it wasn't a very nice dinner. And no one else could taste it apart from the ex-con. So they weren't aware of it, but when the removal it's very, very there. And it tastes extremely powerful. With your clothes, the very same thing. You have two sections. You have a powder and a detergent. And I would put in bicarb in the powder and vinegar in the detergent. And then that will do everything that it needs to do. And there's no chemicals on your clothes.
Fantastic. So Helen O'Hara, you got your question answered. We have another question. Can you please speak on HEK293, aka human embryonic kidney protein cells, commonly used in cosmetics, vaccines, pharmaceuticals, and have been known to get used as food additives?
Yes, there's so many different things that we should be aware of. The one thing is that it's only with the separation of doing things yourself from nature. So there's very many different types of waste products. These human embryo cells have been found in Pepsi, in these drinks, and in many types of foods. One thing is, we don't want any type of DNA from any other entity coming in as a normal food process. It's not something our body wants or needs. And the reason why mankind can be excessively hairy is also down to having excessive meat in their diet. And it starts to come through on the hands and the back of, these hands, the back of the hands. And when one removes meat from their diet, they will actually see that their hair that they used to have on their body isn't so hairy anymore. You'll start to find that. Are you looking for it?
Yeah, I have to check.
Are you less hairy than you were when you? Look at your hands and in here. Yeah, were you ever hairy? Were you ever hairy?
I have most of the hair I have is on my back, actually.
Turn around.
Okay, I want to show you. No, but I don't know if I notice. Maybe when I think about it and look.
You never.
I never was covered in hair like a like a gorilla.
Yeah.
But some hair is there.
Okay, well, you'll notice this if one is aware, keeps the awareness there as you remove meat from your system. Maybe 6 months' time, you'll have a look and you'll realize that the hair that was there is no longer there. So the most important thing that we can make sure we try to do for ourselves is remove all processed foods, all things created by some other entity, and eat things in their fresh format. This way, we bypass having to worry about anything that is within inside the food that is there. But when your awareness is there, you see that all food that is offered to you in the sections that are preserves, they're dead food. They carry no light, they carry no life. So there's no prana there. the body has to try to make some sort of energy from the non-food products that are going into your body. Yeah, this is so acidic. And the breakdown of the body will begin there. And this is why there is so much disease. So yeah, there's great science to it, but that type of science is not really necessary if one just moves to a plant-based diet. If you're still cutting foods out, I mean, there's going to be different alternatives and better things for you to consume on your journey as you do. So just having these food awareness systems in place is just going to help you move through them. Now, the washing. People sometimes want to smell, a certain way, which moves us on to the perfume or parfums. Because if one needs the parfums, it's because the body has some toxicity within inside of it, usually from eating the dead foods, or you could say meat, as it rots instead of fermentation. There's a smell and an odor that the body passes. The breath, you'll be able to smell these things. So the perfume itself will just say it's not a good thing to use on the body. An alternative to perfume would be finding essential oils. So, for example, you've just come out of your shower and you wish to smell a certain way, you can create, or you can be an alchemist yourself and mix certain, you could have rose oil, you could have frankincense, you could have wood spice, and you can start to mix these and create your own perfumes, or you can just smell like orange oil. And a way to apply this would be, one, you can have a roll-on stick that you just roll on with a small mix of oil, carrier oil, or you can, if you like to moisturize your body, you can use coconut oil with a few drops of essential oil, and then you rub this into your body, and you will smell like the oil that you've chosen to wear for the rest of the day.
You mentioned shower. In the shower itself, we have lots of soaps and different products. There is a solution to that as well, right?
Of course. I mean, the body itself doesn't want these soaps. The body itself doesn't want any anti-dandruff shampoos or things like this. And the anti-dandruff shampoos keep you there because they actually create the dandruff. And that's an important thing to see. And if you have no awareness and are currently using it, if you spend some time off of it, you'll find the dandruff will subside. But the continuation of it keeps you using it over time as you could say, the oil that's within inside the soap gets removed off the head again and then leaves the scalp. Each of these things have their own a fundamental reason why. And this is because of the improper use of chemicals, foods, and things like that. So to shower, again, everybody needs to buy a big 25 kilo fine bicarbonate soda. The bicarbonate soda is an alkalizing substance and it's very antifungal by its nature. So what you would do is you would get in the shower, get the body wet, wash off anything that's on the body, and then take a nice scoop of bicarb and rub this over the body. And if you're lucky enough, lemon, 2 lemons unwaxed, give them a clean before you get there, and you cut them in half and use them as body scrubs. And then the bicarb fizzes and you clean the body and then wash it off. And that is exactly how to clean the body. If you're having a bath, you should bathe with salts. So, Himalayan salt, Epsom salt, and a bicarb into the bath. Antiviral, antifungus. It's just a wonderful cleanser. And the salts also pull the toxicities from the skin that we find from our external environments. It's a great cleanse. As you're in the shower, there's awareness to be found that one may start to feel dizzy with the heat. And because of the nature of tap water itself, tap water contains chlorine and many other different things, fluoride, etc. So as the chlorine starts to go in the vapor of the heat, it starts to become a gas, and you start to breathe this in, and it's a very micro chlorine gas chamber you have in the government water. Yeah,
I've seen some shower heads with kind of a filtration system in them. I don't know if they're any good, but
they are better. That's
uh,
what we use. They use carbon and copper. Is that the ones?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be a great benefit to have if you are using government water at this present time. The shower heads that Justine just mentioned is they are available and they're not quite expensive. They have carbon and copper inside of them, and they re-energize the water, also cleaning it and purifying it to a certain extent. If
I'm
one's
just gonna
lucky.
just quickly just get to a question because it's soon go off screen here in
Please.
a bit back to, but
Sure.
Luke Perry has a question about maple syrup. Good or bad for the body?
Maple syrup is not optimum for the body. It's gone through processing, but very minor process in itself. It's just for the distillation of what from the tree. The only thing is, it's not a fruit. So the absorption within the body will create a slight acidity. It's not going to be anywhere near the feeling or the acidity you'd find from sugar or other processes. It's probably one of the best type of sweeteners that you would have that's bottled and processed. Again, dates. Dates are the replacement for this. So whether you're making let's say you're making a hot drink and you are consuming hot chocolate on a regular basis and you want to improve this, all you need is the carob, cocoa, or cacao powder. Carob is the best because it's not a stimulant, but people may not be feeling stimulants at this present time. So carob, cocoa, or cacao. You would warm that with your water or your plant-based milk and boil it with, or you could say warm it slowly. You don't need to destroy the food, but you can boil it for, a couple of minutes and then blend it with, say, 4 dates, 5 dates, but boil it with the dates in, sorry. And then you would hand blend this, pour it through a sieve, and then you would have your hot drink. And it would be the creamiest, sweetest drink you've ever had in your life. So it would taste 10 times better than any sugar, anything. So I would suggest trying that because there's always something within nature that has been replicated because of the nature of where we exist. We exist away from the temperate zone that provides all the fruit effortlessly all year round. So commerce is there, but it's not the worst. It's probably the best sweetener that's processed.
What about honey? Raw honey? I know it's a preservative, but it's natural at least.
Yeah, it is. It's a very strange subject because going through the elimination and testing through my experiences, honey doesn't cause really any acidity to the system. There's no lymphatic, there's no response there. Some people may be allergic, and there's also a warning on the honey that tells babies not to have it before 12 months. If one is allergic or has certain seasonal allergies because one, vaccine damage, or two, the food that one's consuming, then it may not be good because it may trigger immune responses.
So I have always wondered about this not consuming honey until you're like a year old. Is it
Yeah.
is it a real? Also, what? Why?
It's not really in my experience, and there's not many people that speak to on a basis who've done this. So we never consumed honey when our son was here, so I have no real science on it. Again, I just think it's down to the nature of allergens. So most babies have vaccines, so then this can trigger their response with the type of honey. But as they become, say, past the baby stages of vaccines, there's so many vaccines these days that these children get, whose parents are unaware and they still in that lifestyle. That this is probably why. But if you do consume honey, I mean, I know many people that have been on extensive journeys and just lived solely off honey.
Exactly.
Mm.
Mm.
Don't judge it. It depends on where you're at with your food, but it's great to experience each level of food on its own and find out where you prefer to sit your very self. There's another awareness, which would be just the pasteurization. So if one goes to the shops and they're like, I need to get a drink for today, I'm going to grab an orange juice or a coconut water. You see, if they're in cartons, they have been pasteurized. They are past your eyes and you shouldn't consume them if one is looking for life. The very nature of the pasteurization is the boiling process, which causes the body not to recognize this substance. So your body then sees this substance as acidic by its nature and then has to do what it does, which is pull out the minerals from the bones to buffer this acidity and bring it to balance. So that again is something that one should be aware of. If one is not aware of it, then as you go through your food awareness, just try and you'll see. Once you've removed it and reintroduced it, you will get inflammation inside the stomach and very, very, very easy to see.
Mm. But this pastor guy, he's lifted up like the savior of humanity. How come?
Sorry, say that again. Pasteurized.
This pastor, I don't remember his first name, but he's like, he's talked about as, he's saved humanity almost, by giving us pasteurization.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
The milk, dairy, meat industry came from the commercialization and introduction of slaves to land that is not fruitful. Preserves, cans, tins, dried food, grains. This is the food of the commercial world. It's not the optimum food or the food designed for the body. The food designed for the body is for you, full of amino acids. Amino acid. Your body does not want to be in acid. It wants to be in balance. So the balance, we must eat the OK alignment or the alkaline foods or the alkalizing foods of the system.
Oscar says Luis Pastor. Thank you. That was the full name. Yvonne wonders what would you use to wash your hair?
So the very simple but good would be bicarb. Just rub this into the hair, quite a nice amount all through your hair, and allow it just to sit with a small amount of, if you're lucky enough, lemon juice, but sieve it. If not, you can use vinegar. And you would just rub this into your hair, create just a wet vibration to it, leave it for 5 to 10 minutes, and then rinse, and then brush. But as you transition, because of the oils was created previously from hair shampoo, you may find there's a small grease inside the hair, but this will subside after a few strongs. And then you'll find that the hair doesn't actually go greasy like it used to. And hair washing can be very infrequent or as frequent as you wish. And if you wish to make it, smell a certain way, just the essential oil and just rub it in very slowly, and the smells then.
So what we see is that bicarb is essential in substituting a lot of products from Babylon, combined with whatever, lemon or vinegar or lime. Anyway, it can be used for most cleaning and
sides. Yeah, your kitchen side, is a very good remover of smell. The carpet cleaners themselves, one of the main ingredient was bicarb, the dry powder. It absorbs smells as well.
Mm.
It's also one of the greatest things if one wishes to use underarm deodorant. So normal deodorants like aerosol or the roll-ons, you see, one of the ingredients is actually aluminium,
Mm-hmm.
and the aluminium goes into the blood via the armpit, and then over time we get this metal buildup, which causes many different problems, neurological and autoimmune diseases, etc. So to remove this is a great thing. Now, all one needs is a fine bicarb. Try not to get one that is viscous in its nature because it scratches and doesn't feel very comfortable under the armpit. But a very fine bicarb, and you just put this on at the beginning of the day. And if you wash with lemon, it destroys the bacteria anyway. And you usually got all day protection, but just a little dab of bicarb, you'll have no smell, no sweat.
I luckily put the aluminium roll-on behind me for quite a while ago, but I have used some. It's kind of like a, I don't know if it's like a salt stone or some kind of a, you put a little water on it and you just rub it on, and it's actually quite effective.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's healthy, but it's at least it stops you from smelling like a horse.
you just check if it's 100%, natural, if it has any additives. But in my experience, that salt itself is antibacterial by its nature, but the other one's antifungus. Fungus and bacteria can breed here, but the bicarb deals with both. So you make your own choices in life and experiment, see
Mm.
which is best, and become aware.
Helen has a question. She asks if you can talk about how you wear your hair. And should we cut our hair?
It's a choice. To live natural in nature is just to leave things as they are, which is a nice stage of evolution as one becomes aware and starts to intertwine their self with nature and the energies that are there. We go through periods of trying to become very organic, separate from the ego. So, as a part of the destruction of the ego, it's great to be able to leave things as they are. And then once you have come to a space of realization that no things matter, then it's time to just play with life. But essentially, the hair itself has a relationship. Hair is vibration, air with the air. So it's like this ether connection.
So it's like an antenna. I've heard it's talked about like an antenna.
Yeah. But again, hair is like the nails in the same makeup. This is hair on the nails, but it's just a different density of hair. One can still function with no hair. So the perception of it being an antenna as such, you would play a certain element of something very minor, because without the hair, one would probably stop working if it had a really significant role
Did,
to play.
but did you ever hear the story? And it's probably maybe just a story. I don't know. But there was some Indians in. I don't remember the details in the very good detail, but at least the basic story was there was some Indians. There was a war. They were used to. They had some deeper connection, and when they cut their hair, they lost the gift. Let's say. Have you heard? It was a very loose and bad description, but maybe someone in the chat had heard that story before.
Yeah.
It was something like they had a gift the army wanted to use in wartime, but when they get the army cut, they lost the gift.
Uh, that would have some sort of relationship beyond form, because form itself is not going to be relative to these very heightened experiences, because we're truly beyond form. So the nature probably happened within their grounding that they experienced on that level.
Mm.
It wouldn't be necessarily because they cut their hair. It would have been because they didn't want their hair cut. And then the energy changed within inside of them, probably giving them an identity, holding onto their hair, separating them from freedom, thus blocking their energy and not allowing them the heightened powers that be in the present state. But stories are stories, and it's probably more allegorical than anything. But I have not heard of this one.
Austin said they lost their ability to do tracking and tune into spirit. That's probably that's probably correct. What I was talking about. Um, Oscar, any thoughts on adding magnesium powder to food and or magnesium baths?
Yeah, the Epsom salts are pure magnesium, which we just touched on a minute ago. So the magnesium is great for the bath. It pulls and detoxifies the skin, and it's a great cleanse for the body itself. So the bicarb, the sea salt, and Epsom salts are a great mixture to have in your bath. Antifungal, antibacterial, and the pulling of toxins from the body. So yeah, I wouldn't consume magnesium on a regular basis from these Epsom salts as well, just because they're synthetic by their nature. And when things are added in synthetically, it's very hard for the body to uptake the natural minerals, and it's very much where it has a relationship with the earth as well. So, for example, the earth and we have a depletion of nitrogen, and nitrogen is made synthetically by mainly commercial growers and the industries that promote this. But as you introduce nitrogen synthetically into your soil, it stops the plants actually having the ability to uptake natural nitrogen. Now we breathe 18% oxygen. There's a vast amount more than this of nitrogen itself. So the food is depleted of nitrogen. We are depleted of nitrogen. And we should try to create this nitrogen balance inside of us. Magnesium is a great tool. It's a great tool on certain aspects of health. If one is very, let's say, very exhausted, very tired, you can utilize magnesium to help the body just align the geometry of salt, the charge, the signaling inside the body. But if you eat a plant-based whole food diet, you should find that your body should be regulated in balance without the necessary need to add externally. Because the only thing is, with the introduction also of these things, usually you get a take from somewhere else in the system to balance this. So when you consume salts on a regular basis, there's a dehydration process that takes place. So the body excretes the water, thus the water going outside of the cell than inside the cell. So really nature itself is the most important thing to trust. You trust the foods that grow from the ground. The fruit is your optimum food. And anything else that's served to you in a processed format really is for looking at, is for testing, repeating, observing, feeling, being very conscious of it and how it affects you each time you go in and you go out and you try things with and without. And you really build your own awareness up to each individual thing. Because it's a very important process for your awareness. No one else's, this is key. This is your temple. This is your experience. And the heightened perception gives you this very, very wonderful experience.
Oscar says he used it for 10 days in powder form and my energy went through the roof. I stopped it.
He stopped?
He stopped it.
Yeah. Only in fatigue is the times to use something like that, if you can't really get through the experience that you're in. But supplementation, I really don't recommend supplementation at all, because all the supplements are, derived from maybe original sources, but the processing denatures it, which makes it unrecognizable. But then the body's natural source is usually dehydrated, so there's no water content in it. And as we know what our body uses for its functions, and assimilation is primarily this glucose system, but the fruits themselves, they ferment the bacteria inside the gut. This is what causes the growth of this wonderful bacteria. And as you have this wonderful bacteria inside your stomach, it feeds off the food, it defecates, and then feeds the body minerals and vitamins this way. That's the natural process. But yeah, stay away from anything artificial if it's causing you to have excessive energy, because there will be a crash. And this is why we choose to stay away from nervous system stimulants such as onion, garlic, chili, caffeine, because they stimulate your nervous system to such an extent that you consistently need picking up.
What's your thought about coffee? Is it a conspiracy? Also, is it something that has been implemented or pushed upon humanity to
It's a great thing to market in certain areas. That's all that they can grow. So it's a great profit thing that gets people addicted and stimulated, and then now they need it as a regular thing every day for the start.
I've heard or read, or at least, does it calcify the pineal gland?
Calcification of the pineal gland, that comes from many different things, but
Is it a part of it?
acid forming foods, acid in the environment, the tap water itself, this is what forms all the acid around the body. It doesn't specifically direct to the pineal gland. The pineal gland is just like every other part of the body, but you get arthritis in your hands because the calcification between the joints, and this just happens all over the body. So the body itself, I'm sure, as you're bodybuilding, you had many questions. How do you get rid of just this bit of fat at the bottom? Because I'm happy with the rest of my body. Fat doesn't choose where it wants to come from. It is just even and spread out throughout the body. And it's the same there. So the calcification is happening all over the body, but the pineal gland itself becomes activated when one goes through the steps of freeing the self via the virtues and letting go, surrendering. Don't have any expectations of anyone, anything. It arises anger within you and the desire to change something, which means that your mind sees the world as if something is not correct. And then that incorrect nature or outlook on the world causes this reverberation and discomfort within inside your mind, and the repetitive knocking and noise with the questions that have arisen from it for you to find the answers.
Empress Bonita has a question. What about bleeding gums after fasting? I try eating, but my gums bled and are very sensitive. What can I do? Is an oil pulling good for you? I don't know if that's a separate question. I don't know if it's a add-on to the first one or if it's two separate ones. But the bleeding gums.
Yeah. So when one is fasting or one reduces their Babylon world foods, there's the inflammation goes within inside our body. Now, previously, your teeth would have been set for many years, and the inflammation, as it starts to go, the blood vessels there become revealed. There's micro gaps there. So when you're brushing or when you're consuming certain foods, it just scratches them and causes them to have a minor bleed. It's nothing serious. It's nothing that's going to cause you problems. It's nothing you need to worry about or go to a dentist about. It's just the fact that the current shape has changed from the previous, and you're basically, you're touching these vessels. You can bite an apple and you'll see blood on the apple, but there's nothing to worry about. Things will align themselves over time and then become back into how it should be.
So is an oil pulling good for you?
You can oil pull, but as we're talking about teeth, let's go into toothpaste, because if one's still using commercial toothpaste, it's full of unwanted things, but mainly fluoride. There's a warning on the case, and this is a neurotoxin. Fluoride is a waste product from aluminium smelting that they used in water during the war and rat poisons, etc. It's not for our mouth. It's not for any baby's mouth. And the white spots that you see on people's teeth is actually caused by excessive use of fluoride, and it's called dental fluorosis. The best teeth or toothpaste that I have created and seen and experienced with many people is coconut oil, activated charcoal, and bicarbonate soda. So if you clean your teeth once or twice a day with this, you're also oil pulling at the same time. And this works very well. It will clean and it removes stains, can remove rot, and it's definitely within my direct experience.
Mm. So coconut oil, bicarb, and activated charcoal.
Activated charcoal. If you're looking for sizes, um, I would say a tablespoon of oil, coconut oil, organic, with 2 teaspoons of charcoal.
Excuse me, did you say tablespoon of coconut oil or teaspoon
Yeah.
of tablespoon of coconut oil?
Yep. With 2 teaspoons of charcoal, activated organic charcoal. Ours is from coconut husks, and 1 teaspoon to 1.5 teaspoons of bicarb. And then you mix this together, create a paste. And if you keep it cool in the fridge, it stays hard. And then you can scoop it and use it as a toothpaste, and then just put it back in there every evening or rising.
I do it, and it gets very hard. It's like I have to take a teaspoon and kind of crack a piece off,
Yeah, you
and
got a
then
cold fridge.
yeah. But if you don't, if coconut oil don't get stiff in your fridge, you don't have a fridge, you have a cupboard, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
but it's okay, I break off a piece and it put it in my mouth and it quickly melts,
hmm.
and then I can just brush it around.
Yeah. Or if you use a bowl and you just get the head of your toothbrush and you just work it around the top of the bowl, and then you just keep doing this, keep adding it, keep moving it in, and you'll find that it may bleed. So please don't worry if you're on this type of lifestyle. Like I said, it's nothing to worry about, and it just happens.
Mm.
Fine.
Maybe some people are wondering also, because we have other products like moisturizer for skin, or
Yeah.
there's what would
Well,
you do?
skin itself likes to breathe.
Hmm.
It gives off water and pulls in water, and water is all around us. Water is within inside of us. Water is the physical manifestation of ether. So we need this water medium for all life to exist. So one, the best thing is not to have anything on the skin and allow it to do what it does with nature. But if you wish to moisturize your skin because you're going through a certain period of detox from changing your lifestyle, or you are just using it and you want a better alternative, absolutely number one is coconut oil, organic coconut oil for your skin. It has a natural SPF protection with the sun as 10 of 10. So it can be also used as a sun protector as well. Not that you have to protect yourself from the sun.
Helen asks, do you have to keep the toothpaste in the fridge, Josh? I haven't been. And while you answer that question, I have absolutely no bladder control, so I need to go for a little bit. But you can answer Helen's question while I go.
So the question was, she doesn't keep it in the fridge. That was it. No, that's absolutely fine, sister. It's good to hear from you. Good to know you're there. It makes no difference. Nothing will survive or live on it, and you're not going to gain any bacteria. It won't break down. It's just the fact that it stays harder, so it's easy not to tip it, and you can easily scrape the toothbrush on it and then reuse that. It's an important change, but it's very good for cleaning the teeth, and we've seen it with many young people as well. So if anybody's worried that it will break down the teeth, your teeth won't break down if you consume fruits and the foods that are made for the body. But if you cook food and you eat some processed foods, then it's very important to clean your teeth after. And this here, with many cases, children have rotten teeth. And using this toothpaste, you will see that all of the dark spots, the stains, they just leave over time. So it's a great toothpaste to use, and don't fear it. I had something written down from when we were speaking about the baby formula. It was about babies' nappies, nappy rash, and what other people can use instead of nappies. If you have, a baby at this present time, nappy rashes only come from the products and the nappies themselves. You'll find that if you use cotton nappies, they do great brands at the moment that have the different color pop nappies that are made of 100% cotton, organic cotton, and they even have organic cotton wipes. And what you would do, instead of using any type of chemicals or any type of creams, as you've cleaned your wonderful little beaming ray of light, you just use coconut oil. And you lather the baby up with coconut oil. That keeps it from chafing. And you use organic cotton and wash your children's or your baby's clothes with bicarb and vinegar. And you'll see that nappy rash doesn't really exist. It's absolutely from the chemicals that are within the nappies and within creams.
Good tip.
Yes. So it's again the same, within the transition of women, let's say, mainly women, people are wearing makeup and it's a part of life, and they grow and they learn not to wear it. And makeup itself, does actually do the opposite in the end of what people are trying to do. They're trying to look young, clean, fresh, any blemishes to be removed. But it does break down the skin and the pores over time. So it's not necessarily something that is the best for the skin. Another great way for people to use, for example, like eye mascara, the charcoal, the activated charcoal with a small amount of oil, coconut oil, and you would brush it on your eyelashes and then it stays black. It's just something that you can use in your transition, but allowing yourself to be free and absolutely natural is wonderful, but just take no judgment to life and enjoy it. Do the best you can in each moment.
That's all we can do.
Yes, absolutely.
Brother Austin has a question. Also, he wonders what you have to say about sunglasses.
Yeah, sunglasses themselves. Obviously, they're invented to block the ultraviolet light, ultraviolet being the unseen light that's there, which is essentially, you could say, the radiance of our true self when we're connected to it within form. Sunglasses are okay if you're driving and you need something within direct sunlight, but the sun has a wonderful relationship with your eyes. As many people have experienced sun gazing, better clarity, better vision, and repairing of the eyes themselves. So it's not good to block out the light energy of our natural source of light, the sun. But if you have to during driving processes, it's fine. If you want to look good, then it's your choice. It's a perception. Yeah, many years, I removed these types of things from me, and it's just been a natural unfoldment of my awareness of self, these products, these things. Yeah, you're just basically going back to simplicities of life. And as we are here talking about things we put on, another great awareness is clothes awareness. The body doesn't really want to wear too much clothes, but existing in cooler environments, the body should be wearing the best clothes we can if we choose to do so. Now, most modern day clothes are being made from recycled plastics, and they're a type of polyester. And the polyester encases the body's field and its connection to the field. So there's this non-reciprocation process that's happening. And what we, as avatars, need to do is absolutely ground and reciprocate with the energies that are there. So cotton and wool and hemp are the absolute optimum clothing for us to wear. Even the word clothe says see loathe, and to loathe is not to love. And the trainers we wear on our feet are T-rainers. T is Physical readiness is to hold back. So these things hold back your physical. And as we were speaking earlier, the earth is called earth and ground for a very grand reason. It's because you're an electrical being that needs to be earth or grounded. So to earth and ground is not to wear these trainers. Cork shoes are the best if you can find yourself wearing cork shoes or no shoes at all. But don't judge it if you are wearing trainers and have to, because even the thought or the impact on your psychology will create the ripple effect through the body. So just accept where you are and know that one day you'll be in land and you'll be able to walk barefoot and swing from your fruit trees. Did we touch on, I think we did touch on water.
Well, I don't know if we have too much, and I don't even know if water should be dedicated to its own episode because it's quite
Magical substance.
magical substance.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking to that we could have a dedicated water episode. But I'm okay with touching upon it now. It's
No, just simply direction would be, water is a very precious thing. And to consume the right water, if one's drinking water, is very key. Water is full of, first of all, let's start with the system that's been placed for towns and cities via your local councils and governments. It's recycled. It's bleached, it has chemicals in. If one does a test on the water itself, you'll find out to the level of infiltration it has and lack of purity. There are hormones, chemicals. You will find that, the toilets that we use are a part of the water system itself as well. So our water should be direct from source. If we can distill our water, this is going to be the optimum, and charge it with a copper or silver cup, bottle, jar, spoon. As you can see here, I have just a silver spoon inside this water. And what it does is it gives it a negative magnetic charge. Positively charged pathogens are all the problems within our system. So we neutralize these with this energetic field with our water. The water carries the memory, and then it goes through our system and gives us a good clean cleanse. But we don't want excessive minerals in our water, because the body, what water does is it goes into our system. The less minerals it has within inside of it allows it to go in, clean, pick up minerals, and then expel. But if the water's parts per million is quite full of these minerals, then there's usually you would drink it, it would go into the body and then drop off minerals in the body rather than do what it needs to do. And that's why we would want to drink distilled water and store it in something like copper or silver. And we'll go deeper into it as we speak on it on the episode. But I think we've covered most things, we've inside the Babylon trap.
I think so, and we're also at the 90 minutes mark.
Yes, that's
so I don't know if you want to open it up for other things, or if you should just call it
yeah, I mean, we're happy to take some of these other things, other questions if you have any. We'll just stay here for a few more minutes and see if there's any. And as we are, another thing to be wary of within inside this matrix is the TV, the media, the radio. These things here are very toxic. These things here create and exacerbate the ego itself and every aspect of it. They create excessively excited children with personalities that are so above and beyond their perception, they don't know how to deal with them. They are full of disinformation. It is a hive mind creation that keeps you in a system of belief rather than knowing. To turn the TV off is a sigh of relief for the subconscious world, and it very much appreciates the lack of input consistently, which will allow the body to come to a state of peace. The more information or the more programs one puts in, the unconscious, subconscious world has to assimilate this into your being, into your unconscious, conscious behavior. So just be wary of that. You know, the TV is not something that you should use for distraction. Every time that one wants to turn the TV on, try to abstain from it and just look inside yourself and see that there is a awareness of this body, the voices, the hearing. There is an awareness of the thinking, the mind. You can hear voices, but not audible by the ear. And then you sit back and say, what is it that sees all of these things? And you're this awareness. Now, the mind itself is a continuation that happens with or without you. And it's your attention given to the mind that causes the suffering on a day-to-day basis, because the mind reciprocates what is seen over and over again with nothing new. This is the personality, this is the traits. Over time, from a young child observing this mind, it becomes fixated on it. And then you become the mind. So try to distract the attention away from the mind into this very moment. Go within yourself and find the very space that is you. This is the self. And the self can never be seen. It can never be found, because you are this very thing. And all of life itself comes from you. Your awareness. So as we progress into this series, we'll open up to more discussions like this, but I hope that most people would have this type of awareness, and if not, I hope that this has given a reminder and some things to apply on a day-to-day basis.
I have managed to turn off the TV quite a while ago. Not my computer and my phone, but TV is history. However, we have those kids that likes to be entertained by some TV show.
Entertainment.
Yes.
Taint synonymous with taint. To taint is to obscure. It's the tainted mind.
But is it anything that is like for those who have small kids? Is it any programs, any shows that's beneficial?
Role models. You need to be creating environments for them to aspire. So to look up, you have to be quite subtle and watch these things yourself, and you know that this is going to cause something wonderful to blossom within inside your being. So even there's these Indian YouTube channels where they just sit outside with their children. Their children help make food, and they make these wonderful dinners together, and there's like a helpful family. That's one thing good to show young children. The fact that they're grown up enough to be able to help their mum and dad. They're washing the food, they're chopping the food, they do these things. And this will spark an interest into becoming something with their mum and dad. But instead, when you're with your children, if you give them your full attention, but don't do things that you expect children to do things that you do with your children. And then they'll learn to be as they should be. To take care of their self, to be able to help out. Our wonderful being, 5 years old, by his nature already, he'll pick up a mop and sweep the floor and clean it and put the stuff in the bin and peel and chop and create and make and blend and do everything that an adult could do. Now, these are the most beneficial tools you can do, but also teaching them in your reflection, peace, how to be non-reactive, how to take your time, how to go down to their level and speak to them how you wish to be spoken to, instead of reacting with the TV. So for me, it's number one. It destroys what you do for your children. You can spend all day being an absolute incredible guide for your children and put them in front of the TV for 20 minutes a day. And all of these identities, forms, and opportunities to copy and replicate behaviors now as a part of you or a part of them. And then, unfortunately, it's just the way that things are. Most mums and dads can be reactive at some times. So they tend to react to the children from the behaviors they picked up from the TV. And then now the children see their mum and dad reacting, so they react. And then it just creates this cycling of behavior. But there's many things that your children can learn, even science, animals, how even engines work. You find somebody that talks kind and they're not swearing, and you can say, this is how an engine works, a steam engine. This is how a water-powered engine works. Spark their mind. This is how electricity works. I taught little electricity when he was 4. And this is very interesting for people, children. Very interesting.
So we have a few questions, Josh. Cricket asks, is water even hydrating?
It's a good point. It's a very good point. Water itself is hydrating, but the true nature of the hydration comes from the carbohydrates. And this is a perfect balance of water, distilled water by the tree itself, through the fruits, and a perfect balance of electrolytes, amino acids, minerals, vitamins, etc. So that's the perfect balance. You don't need to drink water. Water is brought into our real paradigm because everybody's eating cooked food, dehydrated food, and the body is very dehydrated. So really, you don't need to drink water, but you don't need to drink water if you're consuming high vibrational, living, high water content fruits throughout the day.
And then Karen has a question. May I ask Josh what he would consider a healthy stool to be in consistency with the fruit diet? I never had constipation or diarrhea. For me, it's now a soft stool. Best way I can explain it, and I agree and attest to that.
I mean, if your food that you consume goes down softer than what comes out, if it comes out harder than it goes in, there's a form of dehydration in the body. So this is very easily broken down. It's going to come out in that way. So it would be to do with the level of dehydration within the body. And as you're very hydrated, things come out very easily. So that's absolutely natural and fine, and a good working system. Now, if you went to go and eat something that wasn't in balance or was perfect, you'll find that the nature of it would be different, dehydrated, more clumpy. And
Danny, I'm transitioning from being a long distance runner for the past 10 years. I've always wanted to hear Josh's thoughts about running and if hiking is all right.
I mean, if it's your interest, your will, and your desire and devotion at this present time, it's something that you need to do for you and your experience. But to run, it does take toll and wear down the body. So proper nutrition is key if this is something that you do on a regular basis. And just remember that as you are running around, depletion of your glycogen is going to be consistently happening. So if you are running long distance, then the best thing you can take is a natural fruit juice. this would be a perfect balance of the amino acids and the glucose that you need and your body needs for the fuel, keeping you powered and in no depletion. And as you do your training, you should be very aware of it and see how much you take on board every certain, 10 minutes or 8 minutes or 6 minutes, however long in between your cycling of sips, and see how you fuel and just try and bring it into perfect balance. And as you do, you'll know exactly how much you need for each run or each mile that you do. And your training, you can slowly increase the intensity. You'll have the fuel, so you'll increase your times and just continue to do so. This is how one would improve.
For long distance, you probably should have a backpack with kind of a tank.
Of course, yeah.
And a straw.
That's what you would need, yeah. Maybe take 1 to 2 liters with you if you're doing like a 1 to 2 hour run. And you don't need to take water, just take that.
Yes. I don't see any more questions at this moment. We are 1 hour 40 minutes in.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure as usual. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful for everyone being here. This is touching on a few basics again in the beginning part of this lengthy series, just to bring some awareness to food. As a finalization of this, it's, as we said earlier, the goal of everything is to become conscious and aware of all things here, worldly and earthly, within, without, above and below. There's one simple tool here that the world offers you, the things that causes the imbalance and the pull away from nature. So it's very important if we do things that are aligned with nature. Food that grows from the ground is going to be incredible, a natural plant-based diet, cooked or uncooked. But moving towards the living food is going to be most beneficial, ending up at the fruits. If you do this in increments and you do it with awareness, you will find out which foods serve you the greatest, which would always end up being the fruits. But depending on your environment, it can be very difficult, which then will shape and shift your experience to further, which will bring you to nature, fruit forests, and communities. Because the necessary need for these things for your experience will come into your being and will raise and elevate you and progress you back to a state of homeostasis, peace, balance, love, tranquility, and harmony with all things that are around you. The food and the removal of toxins is key into becoming very sensitive with the body mechanics and allowing you access to the mind as such. Stages of evolution.
Fantastic. Well, Empress Bonita pushed in a question in the last minute. Is shea butter good for the skin?
If it's the butter itself, then it has no problem. But if it's coming in a alternative form with mixtures from a commercial bottle, I wouldn't use it. So, all natural forms of butter and oils, etc., they will be a good replacement for anything commercial. Best coconut oil and shea butter. If it was the raw form, another great replacement. Yeah.
Okay. And you don't see the chat, Josh, but we got a lot of nice... they send us love.
Oh, we love you all very, very dearly. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. So yes, if you haven't already, please come to the XFAM Unity website and experience a great community of higher conscious beings. We've got great courses, great recipes, great transitional diets to go from one to the other. And this will help you on your journey. These courses, if you implement them on your day-to-day basis, slow and steady, your awareness will grow beyond belief about yourself, and you will break boundaries and limitations of the knowing of the dimension that exists beyond form, the energy world. You can have eyes within the material plane or the energetic plane, and utilize these to your full awareness and advantage, creating a wonderful cosmic connection, and also the ability to be able to communicate with people on a higher conscious level and create communities, land pooling, friendships, relationships, family. It's just a wonderful space. And we have, I think, over 150 videos that are going to be put on over the next few days with our new video section. But it's a great space. It's a great space.
It's
and
amazing.
Don't forget the 1st of December, we are doing a community fast for 21 days up until the solstice.
I actually have a question regarding that, and maybe some other people also have the same thing. Also, I still appreciate, the social situation around Christmas Eve, and in Norway we eat Christmas dinner at Christmas Eve. I'm not going to have a Christmas dinner this year, at least not a traditional one. But I do find the situation, uh, with sitting down at the table and having some food, pleasurable, let's say, and enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier that we could, cut the fast earlier, and because I want to do the 3 weeks and the 3 days of water, and then introduce some fruits and refeed, and then be able to. I'm not gonna gorge or get crazy, but so can we start a few days earlier and do the
Yeah, of
process?
course. Of course. I mean, the solstice energy that's going to be there with alignment, if you're there on the water fast, that's incredible. So you could just bring it in 3 days earlier, start on, I couldn't tell you what date it is. I don't know how many days are in this month.
I'm gonna check
But
that out.
and then finish on the 18th into a 3-day water fast on the 21st, and then refeed up until the 24th, and enjoy. That day and the Boxing Day, for example, you can eat. I would say as long as it's only plant-based, whole foods, you do it yourself, and you try not to use oil, because oil itself is not necessary in any type of cooking. It's very acid forming and will cause a lot of issues you don't need.
Mm.
Eat and enjoy those 2 days, and then just go back. If you fall trapped to those 2 days, 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, then you may notice that the acidity levels start to come in, lymphatics start to feel, but it's not necessary. If you just have those 2 days and enjoy them fully, and then have a break, and then go into the new year and enjoy some days full of food. Life is for experiencing. Life's not for suffering. See, the attention given to the mind through food also causes excessive amounts of suffering with I wish I didn't eat this, or I want to eat this, etc. Once you go through the experiences, you know if you want to consume it again or not, and you'll cycle this within your awareness for experience. As long as you don't judge the situation and you eat natural and it's whole food to the best of your ability, enjoy it. You have absolutely every right to. It's your experience.
Yeah, I'm not gonna repeat last year's experience, but at least some some food to join the others.
Yeah, you just spend more time making things yourself, and that's just the key. Last year, did
Mm.
you eat like Babylon food, chocolates, and
Yes,
so
yes.
if you create these with your children in the previous days and get them in the freezer and the fridge ready, you make these cookies, you can make cheesecakes, you can make chocolates, you can make ice creams, fudge brownies, and everything you could imagine from
Yeah,
three, 4 ingredients.
I'm gonna try to have a chat with you around these recipes, because
Yeah.
every time we talk about these recipes, my mouth water, and it's yeah. I looked the Monday 29th of November could probably be a good day to start if you want to get an early start.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
And
be
then
juicing from then anyway. I think we're going to start ours Sunday. So
Sunday the 28th.
yes, this coming Sunday.
Oh, this coming.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
I think there was one thing we didn't touch on just while it arose then is organic or non-organic. It's a great question that goes on and is a part of most people's awareness. Organic itself spells the word organ, IC. So organic is absolutely the most fundamental thing that we should try to get to the space that we consume. But living in the commercial spaces, it's very difficult. So don't judge those things and know that if your awareness has come to this level, then the most important thing you can do is grow your own food and allow life to align the situation with your intention focused on this. And it will naturally become a part of you. There's no need to stress along the way. Allow things to come in from the level that you are existing at. Organic is the best. It's better. It has a different growing method, but still they use organically approved pesticides and herbicides. Go on, brother.
No, I was just scratching my face.
Oh, okay, sorry. So yeah, they use organically approved pesticides and herbicides that still get into the food. It's just a different type of processes approved by the organic agriculture associations.
Now I have a question. Because it seems to be different set of laws from country to country, and what is organic, what is and what is the what you have to abide by to call it organic.
Mm-hmm.
And I come to the understanding that some countries they don't spray the produce itself during its evolvement, but when the season is done, they spray the soil to
Mm-hmm.
kill everything
Mm-hmm.
before a new fresh start.
Yeah.
So that's probably not a good idea either.
No. I mean, the optimum is to grow your own food.
Uh,
And that's where everything's leading us to. See, the world has the offerings, the thoughts are offerings. You don't have to take them, you don't have to take these. So it's our choice to take these on a day-to-day basis, but we must consume some sort of food. So the best food that we consume in this moment is going to be the right choice. And working together with people, this is why our website is so incredible, because we have communities arising everywhere. People are starting to work together to create spaces using each other's abilities and incomes, and growing your own food is going to be the most beneficial. You know, the interaction with the soil, seeing the actual process, it expands your awareness. It's the most magical thing that one can do. Seeing this wonderful tiny seed full of invisible geometry that grows into this incredible plant that gives life to you. There is nothing more beautiful than this. There is nothing more special to get families interacted and children here in space. It just creates a whole new being, a whole new energized space. And I wish this for everyone. I wish everyone has the chance and the opportunity to grow their own food, to consume their own food, and to feel what it's like to be away from noise, to be in nature, to have the freedom. This is, I wish for everyone. I wish you all peace in your body balance. I wish you peace in your mind. And I wish you union and unification with the spirit. This is my wish.
It's a good wish. May it come true.
Absolutely will come true. And yeah, please come to our website, because this is where it will absolutely help us make these things possible. You know, this is the goal. This is the goal, to create fruit forests and cycle them new areas every few months. Once we get our website up to around about 10,000 members, we'll be able to create communities every couple of months and provide the trees, provide the infrastructure, and continue to do so until there's this wonderful union between all places where people can come and go, exchange, experience, and heal themselves and break boundaries and continue to experience the occult world, the hidden world that exists outside of the commercial world.
Okay, brother.
Thank you.
Close to 2 hours.
Everybody have a beautiful evening, a beautiful day. Enjoy the weather, enjoy the moment. It's a very special thing to be here. There's no past. There is no future. There is only this very moment, and make the best of it. Be involved with it in each situation, and as it arises, continue to give it your full attention. And you'll notice that that is a very special place, free from all judgment. Have a beautiful night, guys.
Thank you all for being here. Love you all. Bye bye.
Bye bye.